Thank you so much. My name is Nikli. I think the smallholder farmers are the drivers of many economies in Africa. Even though their potential is not often brought forward, I think we need to appreciate the smallholder farmers because they produce the 80% of the food that we consume and even the ones that we export. So defining the smallholder farmers in their name, I think is not the best way. But defining the smallholder farmers as the drivers of the economy would be the best way. And we need to appreciate them and work with them. They also hold the mantle for combating climate change. We see that these are the people who are crucial in our society, and we need to support the smallholder farmers, because if we don't support the smallholder farmers, then the progress of the economy of the country would be in trouble. So the smallholder farmers do not focus on production for commercial. They focus on producing for subsistence using family labor, but the excess would go for commercial. So they produce small but in large quantities that they make 80% of the products that access market in agricultural industry. To be able to achieve food security, we need to work with smallholder farmers. They are very vulnerable because these are the people that comes from poor rural farming. Their population induces a risk minimizing conservation attitudes in the environment. So we really need to encourage them so that they can be able to work together. As they work on their farming, they also be getting some livelihoods. So it is in this context that the potential role of the smallholder farmers in agriculture makes it significant. To either be ignored or treated as just another small adjusting sector of the market economy. They are the biggest people in the market economy for their agriculture. Well, the smallholder farmers in Kenya face various challenges that impede their growth and their ability to effectively contribute to food security relative to the commercial farmers. So some of the constraints that they face include lack of access to land. These people hold small plots of land which are now being turned to commercial. So these smallholder farmers do not have access to land. They also have poor physical and institutional infrastructure. The farmers have poor roads that their produce delay in accessing markets. Some of them even lose their produce on their way to the markets. Physical accessibility to most of these smallholder farms is poor. Most smallholder farmers are located in rural areas, and mostly the farmers lack access to proper roads. For example, in our country, this limitability for the farmer to transport their inputs, their produce, or even access information. We also have another challenge with market access. Farmers don't even know where their market are. So we need to form things that can be able to help the smallholder farmers to access markets. So farmers don't even have access to where their market is. So we need to help them. They also don't have enough securities to access loans or farm input loans. These limit them in accessing agricultural inputs, limiting their outputs, and are often missing and unreliable for the smallholder farmers. So these smallholder farmers need to have this. We also have a problem of lack of information. Nowadays, information is very crucial that these farmers need to access so that they can be able to improve their farming methods to the modern techniques of farming, so that they can also increase the production by using the small pieces of land that they have to produce more. We're also saying that if the smallholder farmers do not appreciate and uphold technology, then the future of agriculture would be far. And we need to support the smallholder farmers because they contribute to a larger percentage. We also have the increased cost of transport. Fuel prices are rocketing. The smallholder farmers access to renewable sources of energy so that they can be able to help them. In terms of transportation also, we need to work on that. We also have lack of reliable markets. The smallholder farmers do not have reliable markets. The farmers market in Kenya have not been marked. The farmers market in Kenya are owned by brokers. Farmers market in Kenya are not demarcated, and the smallholder farmers are not given mandate to manage them. So we need to ensure that these markets have been made for the smallholder farmers, owned by the smallholder farmers, and regulated by the smallholder farmers, to be able to help them to be able to dictate the prices of the market so that smallholder farmers can access better markets. So with this, that we need to really help them, that they lack capital to be able to start their farms and to be able to fully work on their projects in a bigger scale, that they are often illiterate with poor technology skills, which can be serious obstacle in accessing useful formal institutions. They also lack human capital. We can also see that the government do not give a hand to the smallholder farmers, that the government, through its Department of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries and Livestock, need to give a hand to the smallholder farmers in providing information. The government need to provide technical information to the smallholder farmers at a free cost, so that each and every smallholder farmer can be able to access these people. So to ensure that the smallholder farmers can be able to work together, we need to mobilize the smallholder farmers into one unit so that they can be able to work together. So what is the importance of putting the smallholder farmers in cooperatives? What is the importance of putting the smallholder farmers in groups? It's very important because this will improve sustainability and the scope of the products offered through creation of economic of scale, that the smallholder farmers can be able to produce what is enough to be transported to the markets. If the smallholder farmer produces, for example, 10 kgs of chili in maybe far places like Turkana, that 10 kg cannot be transported to Nairobi for the export market or even for the local market. But if 10 farmers come together and produce 1 acre, that would be 10 acres. They can be able to even to produce 30 tons per harvest. That can be transported to Nairobi without any problem. They also need to improve logistics in terms of storage and transportation facilities. That it's important for the smallholder farmers to be assisted to store their produce from harvest to a point where they get market. They also need to have transportation facilities, that the county government need to invest in purchasing, transporting vehicles so that these farmers can be able to transport their products. Also important to assist in ensuring compliance with the food safety and quality assurance standards. That the smallholder farmers do not know what are the quality standards of certain products in the market. They need to be informed. They need to be supported to be able to produce that quality so that they can be able to have a market-oriented farming. They also need to improve market intelligence. The smallholder farmers don't know what are the best season in terms of marketing. They don't know. So they need to be informed so that they can be able to grow crops which are in line to the next season, so that when they are harvesting, it's the right season for the marketing of the product, to be able to get best prices of the market. The association also will help to improve bargaining power, to ensure fair trade. The best thing to have for the smallholder farmers is a fair trade, that they can be able to trade their products fairly. They can be able to have a higher power in convincing the sellers. They also have the power to dictate the prices in the markets. This will also help in lowering of transaction costs as a result of bulk buying. If the smallholder farmers works together as a group, they'll be able to have enough for the market. So if they have enough for the market, they can lower the transaction cost of moving their goods to the market. It will also improve access to best available technology to improve production efficiencies and quality. With the cooperatives, with the associations, the smallholder farmers can have enough money to acquire technologies as a unit. They'll have enough resources to acquire quality products which improve their production and more income. The cooperative association will also ensure that there are value adding and agro-processing facilities. They need to value add their products. They need to value add their products. They also need to process their products into forms which are better, into forms that they can be able to get higher returns or higher market prices, or even long shelf life for their products. And they can only achieve this by value adding their products or agro-processing their products. And we need to help the smallholder farmers. Standing with the smallholder farmers will ensure that we are able to achieve our economic goals. Standing with smallholder farmers will ensure that we combat climate change. Standing with smallholder farmers will ensure that we are able to sustain our production. Large factory farms have proven that they are not sustainable. Large factory farms have proven to be the large consumer of fossil fuel, producing a lot of carbon into our environment, and they are not sustainable. Smallholder farmers are sustainable. We need to support the smallholder farmers. These cooperatives will be farm-oriented. They will be formed by the farmers, for the benefit of the farmers, by the farmers themselves. The reason why they have never been successful since the inception of the cooperative movement in Kenya is because they don't have the interest of the farmer at heart. The people who are developing these things are people who've never farmed before. They don't know the challenges. They have never experienced the challenges. And that is why they develop policies which are not helping the smallholder farmers, but they are helping their self-centered interest in creating more opportunities for them. But if we develop these organizations, making the farmers themselves, the smallholder farmers, at the farm level, to be the leaders of these organizations, they know the challenge. They have experienced the challenges. And this would be the best solution for these ones. These farmers need to access information. They need to know that this university provides this. They need to know that this learning institution, the agricultural learning institution, provide this kind of information that can be of help to them. The research organization. Kenya is blessed that they have some of the international organizations within, like International Livestock Research Institute is in Kenya. World Agroforestry in Kenya. Those are very important institutions that we need to help the small farmers access this information. The research organizations that currently CALRO exist, but several people do not understand the organization, how it works. So this information need to be given to the small farmers so that they know that I'm accessing this institution for the benefit of these services. The county agricultural officer should be accessible at free to the farmers. The farmers associations, which are currently existing, do not have the interest of the farmers at heart. These organizations were formed by other people who don't understand farming. So, farmer support institutions. For farming to succeed, there need to be support institutions. For example, the financial institutions like banks. Farmers don't know that the banks provide this kind of service, this kind of financial services, this kind of funding. Those information need to be given to the farmers. The farmers don't know that they need to protect their crops, their livestock, and their businesses against any perilous act. They need insurance. Farmers don't know these ones. They need to access these ones. They also have their saving and credit organizations, the circles, which are in their local vicinity. They need to know that these circles are providing this kind of funding to them, this kind of service to them, so that they can be able to farm in the modern way with information. Information is a power for any smallholder farmer, because they cannot be able to invest in having their own agricultural experts. But shared agricultural experts would be very important for the smallholder farmers. All these organizations should be compelled to publicize their services and accessible to the smallholder farmers. The smallholder farmers are the powerful tool for economy of every country, and therefore they also need to have a powerful policies. They also need to have a powerful share, so that they can be able to help the smallholder farmers access all these things that are needed by the smallholder farmers to be able to move to the next level of production in terms of quality, market accessibility, value addition, agro-processing, and access to information, which is crucial for the modern smallholder farmers, so that we can be able to work together as a unit block, as the Smallholder Farmer Association of Kenya. It is important as smallholder farmers to come together as a unit, so that we can be able to have a better bargain in terms of marketing, input accessibility, and also policy making. We need to come together so that we develop our own policies and push the government to be able to implement the policies which are to the best interest of the smallholder farmers. Let's support one another and let's work together, because together we can do more.